Bionicle Adventures 2 Trial by Fire. Written by Greg Farsty. Recorded by Lord of the Tree Frogs. Chapter 1. "Next time I'm picking the teams," grumbled Oniwa, Toa Metro Stone. He had been trudging along behind Vakama, Toa of Fire, and two of the Matoran for the better part of an hour. He hadn't bothered to keep his unhappiness a secret. Nuri said nothing, a Matoran from the Talmetru district. All his energies were focused on finding the discs. In his mind, he saw himself showered with praise for helping to save the city, and maybe even having a mask of power named after him someday. Taragaduma, elder of Metronui, might even want a Matoran of such courage as an advisor. The other Matoran on the journey, Akmu, was a Po Matoran carver. He turned back to look at Oniwa and said, "Since when did Oniwa follow the rules? Has becoming a Toa Metru made you soft? Leave these two fire spitters behind, and let's find the great disc ourselves." "Sure," grunted Oniwa, "and maybe walk into another trap. Don't think I've forgotten how hard it was to catch you, Akmu. I trust you about as far as I could throw the great temple." Vakama was tempted to tell the bickering Po Metru natives to be quiet, but that would probably just make things worse. Maybe it had been a mistake using Konoka discs to choose the teams. But they were easy to find, since every Matoran used discs for sport, and the 3-digit codes on them offered a simple way to decide. The two lowest codes worked together, the two highest, and so on. It was just bad luck he had wound up with Oniwa. They could just not seem to get along. They had crossed the border of Talmetru a short while ago. Nokama, Toa Metru of Water, had found a series of clues to the location of the great discs carved on the wall of the great temple. According to the inscription, finding the Talmetru disc required embracing the root of fire. Vakama and Nuri both knew what that meant, but neither wanted to speak about it out loud. Oniwa and Akmu looked around uncomfortably. Their home metro was known for its wide, flat expanses where massive sculptures were carved and stored. Talmetru, on the other hand, was a land of fire, where molten rivers of protodermis were forged into masks, tools, and other objects. Buildings crowded in close, and all of them reflected the red glow of the furnaces. The sound of crafters' tools striking in unison, and the hiss of cooling masks seemed to come from every side. "I need a rest," said Akmu. "My feet are tired." "Mine too," said Nuri. "Why couldn't we just take the transport chutes?" Vakama frowned. He had insisted that they travel on foot, and Oniwa had agreed. Taking the chutes would make it too easy for one or both Matoran to jump out midway and disappear into the streets and alleyways. "All right, but stay together and stay here." The two Matoran sat down. Vakama walked away, expecting Oniwa to keep an eye on them, but the Toa Metru of Stone followed him. "Do you know where we're going? What is this root of fire?" Vakama gestured towards the buildings that surrounded them. "Well, you know about the great furnace in Talmetru, and all of the smaller furnaces and forges here. The flames that feed them come from fire pits, the roots of the fire. They are highly dangerous places." "Let me guess. Climbing down into one is against the law in Talmetru, so we're going to have Vaki squads to worry about." "Probably." "You had better be right about all of this," Oniwa said, "or it's the last time I'm trusting you, fire spitter." Vakama felt anger rising in him, and this time didn't try to fight it off. "Do you have a better plan? These 6 discs are the only thing that can save Metronui. Unless we find them, the whole place is going to fall to the Morbazak." The Toa Metru of Fire pointed over Oniwa's shoulder, but his warning came too late. A twisted Morbazak vine snaked out of a chute and wrapped itself around Oniwa, lifting the startled Toa into the air. "My arms are pinned!" the Toa Metru of Stone shouted. "I can't get free!" "Hang on! I'll save you!" Vakama said, thrusting a disc into his disc launcher. "Hang on? Hang on to what?" The Morbazak was dragging Oniwa toward the chute. Once inside, it would be too late to free him. Vakama aimed carefully and launched his disc at the vine. When it struck, it sent bitter cold along the length of the plant, freezing it solid. With the pressure gone, Oniwa was able to wiggle free. He hit the ground and looked from the vine to Vakama. "Yeah, well," he muttered, "I could have done that myself, somehow." He idly swung his fist and shattered the frozen plant into 1,000 icy shards. Vakama turned and headed back toward where the Matoran waited. "You can have the next one, then. Maybe if you grumble at it, it will go away." "Hasn't worked with you," replied Oniwa. Vakama didn't answer. The spot where they had left Nuri and Akmu was empty. He felt a sinking feeling inside. If the two of them had vanished... "There!" yelled Oniwa. He pointed toward the two Matoran, who were fleeing in the direction of Pometru. The toe of stone whirled his proto-piton tool above his head and made a perfect throw, the cable wrapping around Akmu's legs. Smiling, Oniwa began reeling in the Matoran. "Nice," said Vakama, "but here's an easier way." He took out a teleportation disc, checked its 3-digit code to make sure it was low enough power, and then hurled it from his launcher. It struck Nuri a glancing blow, and the tall Matoran disappeared. An instant later, he popped back into existence right in front of the two Toa. "I guess you weren't that tired after all," said Vakama, "so let's keep moving." "So, have you ever visited these fire pits before?" Oniwa asked. "No," Vakama said softly. "Even mask makers aren't allowed near them. The risk is too great." "Scorched Matoran, right?" "Not only that," said Vakama. "If anything happened to the flames in those pits, production in Talmetru would come to a halt." Seeing the lack of reaction on Oniwa's face, he added, "There would be nothing for the Matoran to carve." They were working their way slowly toward the center of the city, trying to keep off the busier avenues. Oniwa insisted the two Matorans stay close, while he himself kept scanning the alleys. Vakama did not need to ask why. They both could sense they were being followed. At one point, just after they rounded a corner, Oniwa gestured for them to flatten against the wall. They waited a long moment, but no one went by except the occasional Matoran. Finally, Oniwa appeared around the edge of the building and shook his head. "Not there." "Who do you think it is?" asked Akmu. "Guess," answered Oniwa. A 4-legged creature named Nadigi had been chasing Akmu when Oniwa found him. The same powerful being had been responsible for sabotage and traps encountered by the other Toa Metru in their search for the Matoran. Whoever he was, he did not want the Toa finding the great discs. "Maybe we should get off the street," Vakama suggested. "We can take a shortcut through the Protodermis reclamation furnace," Nuri finished. "The rear exit would bring us out near the fire pits." "Lead the way," said Oniwa. "All these fires, flames, and furnaces look alike to me." The Protodermis reclamation furnace was relatively small as Talmetru furnaces went, but its fires were just as hot and had plenty to burn. Damaged masks, tools, and other items were sent here from the reclamation yard to be melted down. The resulting liquid protodermis was then fed through special channels back to the forges where it could be used again. What went into the furnace was little more than garbage, but what came out might become something wonderful in the hands of a skilled crafter. Its function made it ideal for use as a shortcut to the fire pits. For one thing, the place ran itself. Few, if any, Matoran actually worked there, so the building would most likely be empty. The Nurok, the Talmetru Vaki squads, did not bother patrolling in the area. After all, who would want to steal trash? Vakama led the way as they slipped into the side entrance. The only light inside came from the fire in the furnace. The building consisted of a wide catwalk that ran along all four sides and looked down upon a long chute. The chute ran through the center of the building, carrying items directly from the yards to the flames. The air inside was heavy with smoke and the smell of melting protodermis. Oniwa walked to the edge of the catwalk and peered down. He had never seen anything like this. In his home district of Pometru, goods arrived already shaped, and carvers added the finishing touches. Watching masks and tools move slowly through a chute toward destruction was incredible, and even a little frightening. Vakama joined him. Sometimes I am not sure I like this place. Why not? It keeps us from learning from our mistakes. We just melt them down and make them go away. Toa, watch out! Neither Vakama nor Oniwa had time to react to Nuri's shout. Twin blasts of energy struck them, sending them tumbling over the catwalk and through the energized walls of the chute. They hit hard and laid there, stunned as the chute moved them closer and closer to the white-hot flames. Nidiki stepped out of the shadows. The two Matoran had run away, but there would be time to find them later. For now, he wanted to enjoy his victory over the two Toa Metro. He looked down at the unmoving forms of Akama and Oniwa, his dark laughter mingling with the crackle of the flames. End of Chapter 1.